terrible stream health, as usual. And we'll see if we have... Yep, there we go. And let me just move this over. Move this over. One minute elapsed time. Hello, person watching. And if you're going to be joining me after the live stream, I wanted to go over what exactly is this HDPLEX majigger. Well, I think this is the coolest product of 2019, and it's a power supply. And how weird is that? Because power supplies are usually the most boring computer component parts. Hey everybody, how is it going tonight? See ya, the Techno Edge. Thanks for always jumping in. Daniel and... Oh, I gotta blow that up a little bit more. A little bit more. Because I can't read. It's a little bit better. Now, how do I close this top part off? YouTube wants to welcome me to live chat with an enormous welcome thing, so I only have like 4 inches. Okay, so anyway, if you are going to be joining this chat or this live stream later, if you're watching it a time that it's not live, make sure that you enable the chat, because that is the whole fun of these live streams, is participating in the conversation. So today I am going to be looking at, hopefully, the very last revision of the HDPLEX 400 AC power supply. This thing has been a long time coming. I believe this may be the 10th version, but I could be wrong about that. But old Larry at HDPLEX has come out with revision after revision after revision. This is a very challenging product, so he says. This is one of the hardest products he's ever had to do. And, well, I mean, look at it. I mean, we can kind of see that it could be one of the most challenging products ever. This is a 400-watt power supply. It's platinum. It's going to be platinum rated. And look how tiny this thing is. It is just a little bit... I mean, it's big for an HDPLEX unit, but it is a very tiny 400-watt power supply. It can be run passively, or it can be run with a tiny little fan that kicks in under load. And we were both really surprised. As you'll be not hearing, it's not that loud. But what's really cool about this unit is that it has a peak of about 460 watts, which allows it, hopefully, to be running my 2080 Ti and 9700K overclocked. But we're going to make sure that it passes the benchmarks tonight. So I'm going to say hello to the people in the chat. It's good to see the usual crowd. So thank you for joining us. Any mixed questions before we begin? Those overalls come with a beer holster. They actually do. There is so much pockets in these overalls. It's unbelievable. These are Carhartt insulated overalls, and it's really cold in my shop, and I've been working in my shop all day long, and they keep my legs nice and toasty. And because I didn't heat my office, it's still a little toasty, but once the lights warm it up, I'll probably strip down for you guys. Yeah, these are Carhartt overalls, by the way. These are not any overalls. Tumor, thank you for starting things off with a donation. I really appreciate that. That is awesome of you. Okay, so this product, it's not out yet. Although it says it's sold out on the website, but it's not been released. This is the final revision, hopefully, before they release them. This has, of course, been opened up, tested a lot, so it doesn't have that professional polish that you'd see. So let's get started, I guess. I also want to talk about the HDPLEX 4. So let's just talk about this product in case you guys have no idea what this is. I know the usual crowd does, but if you're coming in later. So these two things together are a PC power supply. Your PC power supply takes AC from the wall and converts it to DC. And not only that, it distributes it to the different types of voltages your motherboard needs, which is 5 volts, about 3 volts, and 12 volts, thereabouts. So this little guy takes, this bad boy little guy, takes AC from your wall, converts it to 19 volt, 400 watts of power, and this guy takes that 19 volts and distributes it into your 12 volts and your 5 volts and your 3 volts to your motherboard. But you need both of them together to make a normal power supply. Now, if you guys don't know what this channel is about, this channel is about small form factor. So you might be asking, why do I want this? Why don't I just buy a normal power supply? Well, when you can shape things or break power supplies in different parts, it allows you to arrange them on motherboards in such a way that you can get the size down dramatically. So you can check out my Mini, the S4 Mini, which is one of the products this has been developed for, and why Larry has generously included me in the testing of this, because we want to make sure it's working with the S4 Mini and my future Mini products. But that's the general idea. You break a power supply into components, that way you can make it much smaller and more compact, because a normal power supply is a square box. And I don't really have time to go over it in this video, but if you take a square box and stick it in a computer case with parts, there's no good way to make a layout that's super efficient. There just really is not. So other companies have come out with things like flex power supplies. I get comments on my channel all the time saying, why don't you just use a flex power supply? They're really cheap and widely available. But flex power supplies have some drawbacks as well. They're not as efficient as when you separate these two power supplies together. They are usually louder, and then you have a bunch of cables breaking out the side, and you have to kind of figure out how you're going to do that. With this, we can take the cables nicely and neatly, and we can place it right next to the motherboard, and it's awesome. Super compact, super neat, and super clean. But if you had a flex power supply, there's no good place to put it. You can put right here is usually where you find it, next to the CPU side. Then you're going to block exhaust from the CPU, right? And then you're going to have cables go here, and cables run across the front of your computer and go to your graphics card. So flex power supply is not super ideal, in my opinion, and of course HDPLEX's opinion. So typically what we've had to do in the past is we have had to use these external power bricks, right? Like come with your laptop. It's the same idea. This is an external power brick, except check out this. This is the power brick I have recommended in the past. This is the Dell LA330 PM160. It is a 330 watt power supply, and look how big it is compared to the HDPLEX 400. It's not literally twice as big, but it's, for all intents and purposes, twice as big. And yes, you can use this as an external power brick, which is really, really cool. So we've not only chopped this in half, but this guy is so much more powerful than this. At least the last revision is. We're hoping that we're not going to have any problems with this current final revision. This was good for a 1080, a GTX 1080, and a 65 watt CPU in most circumstances. This is going to be good for an i9 and a 2080 Ti, which is a beast and sucks so much more juice, than the 1080 Ti. I'm going to look at the questions and see what people are asking today. And they probably asked a lot, but I can only see so many at a time, so please forgive me. Yes, platinum efficiency modular flexes do exist. There is one that I do know of. I can't think of the brand name. Someone can help me out, but it's a modded power supply. Very expensive out the gate, which is fine. I don't mind spending money for it, but still, you do not overcome the major problem, and that is breaking the cables to the appropriate part of your board. You're still going to have cables, whether it's modular or not, run all throughout one end of your case to the other. Whereas if you break it up into different spots, makes it much cleaner. Alrighty, so yes, there's also one by Geek, G-E-E-K, and that is a flex power supply that has the modular cables on it, right? I think that's the one I'm talking about, indeed. Now, I love this product so much because if you can go look at it, you can go download the 3D files. I'm going to offer that on my website and also at smallformfactor.net. You can figure out all sorts of really clever ways to put this power supply that a normal power supply wouldn't work. In fact, I have a 6.4 liter chassis I'm making for a customer right now that houses a full-length graphics card, and this fits inside of it beautifully. All right, so next step is I want to take a look at the current revision of the HDPLEX 400 DC power supply, because Larry has made a new input jack, and it's very nice. I've actually never looked at it yet. We talked about how he was going to make it, but as you can see here, I believe that is a 13 millimeter, which is a very odd sized mounting hole. And you have of course, the nut that goes over it. So this would plug into your panel, and you would plug in basically this 7.5 millimeter, looks like, jack. Yep. So this basically replaces the old one, which was this PCB mount one. And that's kind of nice. I like this idea. This would have been great in the S4Mini Classic days because you wouldn't have to do those mods anymore. It would make things much more low profile, and it's always easier to drill out one hole instead of course, 3. So I do like it. It's built quite well, no complaints, and of course you do not have these 2 solder points down there which could make contact with something and break it. So I'm gonna put this back in the box. There's no other revision. My only complaint about the 400 DC unit is that they have that standard Chinese font print on the side, and people that, you know what I'm talking about, it's like just the Chinese font. I don't know what it's called, but it's the font that all manufacturers in China use when they're printing off this kind of stuff if you don't specify what font you use. That needs to go. That is ugly for such a beautiful, beautiful power supply. I think I mentioned that before to him, but maybe if I say it on camera, he'll actually change it. Multi-Make Stuff asked me if I followed CES this year, and I tried my very best not to. I used to go to CES every year, have a closet full of badges, and it was just the most disappointing thing ever. So once the party stopped kind of happening and my friends stopped going in the different industries and they started getting hotel rooms and they started not showing up, I didn't go anymore. I let people tell me what was really interesting this year, and I think the most interesting thing was probably nothing. There was nothing that really interested me this year. I was excited for AMD to talk about their CPUs and their GPU, their 7 nanometer architecture. Wasn't exciting. And Intel, again, not really anything particularly exciting for me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. CES, more and more and more, feels to me like we need to come up with an idea that we possibly could prototype by the time Computex comes around that probably will never hit the market. And for bigger companies, it's kind of the same thing. It's like, here's what we've already talked about we're gonna be doing, and here's another physical prototype of it, like in EVGA's case with their new coolers for their 2060, but I didn't find anything super exciting. Now, I'm not saying that there wasn't exciting stuff. I didn't follow it. I just let people talk to me about what they thought was cool, and we'll see. Okay, here's another question. When the S4 Mini is available again, is it possible to order one but smaller for a 2400G build with the HDPLEX AC/DC? And that's kind of a question that's up in the air. That'd be like me attending CES and showing a bunch of maybe sort of possibly one-day prototypes. I have several prototypes actually in the works of different chassis. I'm trying to figure out where I want to go next regarding all of that stuff. Oh, no, I did like the Asus RGB backpack. So you can put your RGB accessories inside of your backpack, which is RGB accentuated. That's what the world needed, was an RGB backpack. Alan Zhu asks, is the Dynamo 360 plus 120 combo better technically? It depends. Like, I really like the Dynamo, but it really depends. Remember, the whole point of this, in my opinion, is to make stuff as small form factor as possible. And because of the format of the Dynamo 360 unit with the power plugs on the end, it will allow you to do probably builds in the S4 Mini with the new HDPLEX 400 that you couldn't do with this because it's a little bit of a smaller product. But generally speaking, the HDPLEX 400 is my go-to because it fits so nicely in the front and it's compatible with a lot of motherboards, and it's nicer and neater. But performance-wise, I mean, they both work perfect. They both work perfect, though the Dynamo combo is a little bit more expensive. I do use that for a lot of custom builds because I'm moving stuff around in a different way. But we'll talk more about that later because I do have 2 builds coming that use the Dynamo combo. But really, it's all about form factor and the right tool for the job. For putting the HDPLEX 400 unit into the S4M, do I need to make my own mounting plate? 90mm fan mounts, HDPLEX mounting holes, and would you use acrylic or aluminum for better heat transfer? You actually do not need to do any mounting plate. I'm going to have mounts for it in my next revision of the chassis because I'm really tired of explaining that you don't need mounts because people are like, yeah, right. But you really don't. Once you get this plugged in, the frame sits over it so it can't move up or down. And once you have it plugged in, of course, it can't move back. So the only place it can move is maybe forward, and the cables hold that in. So you don't need to have any mounts for it. And I find that to be easier to install anyway. So I hope that answers that question. I can't really answer that question enough anyway, so that's why I took it. And one last thing before we get started again. Pat Brush, asks, does the 400 AC/DC fit internally with the Gigabyte 1070 Mini? So with the S4 Mini, the S4M, the Skyreach S4 Mini, this product will be touching a normal size card. That means that if your card has power connectors on the top of the card, that it's not going to fit unless you're going to use a very special cable that has no connector, or you move by desoldering the connector to a different part of the board. It's going to be butting up right against that. So this would be used internally for cards that do not require a power connector. That would be a drop-in. Or if you want to do some modding, you could fit some non-oversized cards. But any oversized card, it would not fit. You'd have to use it basically as a replacement for the Dell Power Brick. And again, it's smaller and way more powerful. So we still should be quite happy about that. And I don't have any more details about the S4M, but I'm sure you guys want to see this actual in action, and I do as well. So I'm going to get plugging this in, and the best way to do that, I'm just going to use the stock HDPLEX cables, not my fancy short Skywire cables, but the Skywire cables, which you can buy on my website, are really, really small. They're perfectly designed for the S4 Mini and the HDPLEX, so you don't have just a spaghetti monster hanging inside your computer case. We are going to be plugging the non-split end into the power supply, and the split end, 20+4, into our motherboard. We are going to plug the CPU cable, the split end. Gotta slide this. There you go. Split end goes into the motherboard. With this stupid cooler, it bumps up against it. And the solid end goes into our DC-DC distributor on the end here. And then we have the GPU cable. This one's more obvious. We have the split ends, the double ends. That goes in the graphics card. And the single end goes into the power supply. But I'm going to talk about one more thing. Here is the Skywire GPU cable. I get this email constantly. People end up swapping the CPU cable and the Skywire cable, and they wonder why it doesn't power up or there's a problem. So I'm just covering this here in case you're a first-time builder, and you can see it right here. The end that has the split end, that's going to go into your GPU, the one that looks like this. the 6+2. And the solid end is going to go into your DC power supply. All right. We don't need this. This shiny silver cable, which I hope that Larry does on both ends, because that's just kind of weird, right? Having the nice, beautiful, shiny silver cable and then the catch-up wires on the other side. But that's going to go into our DC input, 19-volt input right there. And I'm going to get my graphics card. And we're going to start off with the 2080 Ti, which sucks so much power. Not an efficient graphics card. And I'm going to put the connectors in. Sean Crees, yes, this is actually real life. And it's not a recording of a live showing. You are here on time. I have not seen any 260s except the EVGA fancy 2.5 slot card. Maybe it's a 3 slot. Ridiculous. It's like a mini ITX card, but it's like super, super thick. Hey Tyler, it's good to talk to you. I still have the plastic on the 2080 Ti. This is a customer's 2080 Ti. It's going into a very custom build, and I need to get that done, but life has been happening. But it's there. It's almost there. But yeah, I will peel it off. Ooh, I can't wait to do that. That'll be so much fun. I do not have the external exclosure. I don't have any accessories for this. This is the last one, but hopefully I will get them soon. I have ordered 10 of these for my mods, and I hope to get them before you guys, because it'll be sad if I don't. Mode. All right, idle with the motherboard drawing, with little LEDs. We're at 1.8 watts, and I am going to power this sucker on. Can you see this? Move it back a little bit. There we go. I haven't killed my motherboard yet with all the cooler swaps I've been doing. I did them all 24 of them. Took forever. Well, thank you, Alan. That's really cool of you to say that. If you guys want to download that too, you can. Get it while the getting's good, because this guy. There's nothing wrong with the Delta, but this is a superior unit. It does push more. I don't know how to do this because unfortunately I only have an HDMI monitor right here on the desk, not a DisplayPort one, because I was going to put like 2 monitors, but can't do that. So where this failed was there's 2 failures. There was one for not Final Fantasy, Tomb Raider, and one for a stupid benchmark that I don't recommend people do, but definitely will prove things to us. Prime 95 and Furmark. And I don't know if I have Furmark. I do. 1 second. Desktop icon. Next. Finish. Close. Let's do a 4K. warning, don't do this. Okay. So right now I have my CPU clocked at 5 gigahertz. This is a 9700K. And we have firmware going, which is nice, and Prime 95, which is also nice. And we got a reset pretty much instant last time, but now we are good. As you can see, it's lagging, but it should lag. We were just looking to see if it was going to bomb or not. Weston, thank you very much for the $4.99 tip tonight. Thank you very much for that super chat. I really do appreciate it. That is really cool of you, and that's really all I had to say about that. All right, so now Furmark is fully... I accidentally hit it all. So maybe that was me. But we peaked at a 499 watt draw. So probably need to disable that 5 gigahertz overclock because 499 watts is too much. I'm measuring it with my What's Up Pro, which has a flash memory module and a USB cable, so I can actually plug it in my computer and I can look at the graph. But it also displays information in real time. A little bit faster than your typical wall meter. What's the one that everyone uses? I forget what it's called. Anyway, I'm gonna try the Furmark burn-in at 4K. 3848 by 2160. Not the CPU one. I don't really want to do that one. Anti-aliasing will be at 8x. And I want to see what this looks like when the load kicks in to 400 watts. The fan goes on, but it's really not bad. It's really not bad. And of course, it was very nice how Larry did it. He actually put the screws on from the outside and has the cable plug in. It's a modular cable. So if you wanted to plug in an Noctua because you thought it was going to do better, you could. So you don't have to take the thing apart, which is cool. Sean Crees wants to know if he sends his S4MC wraparound bezel to me if I'm able to cut the GPU area out. And I don't want to do that. Don't maul your beautiful little S4MC. I mean, it's your bezel, but there's so many people out there that want like a pristine bezel. I would do something else, man. I also can't really do it, to be honest, because the Z axis on my CNC is not high enough to do that, and I do not have the time to do that by hand right now because I have custom builds I need to get out the door. So I'm sorry to disappoint you. Is there any way to route this fan cable inside the power supply? Absolutely. Certainly you could. That's not a problem at all. That's probably what I would do for my customer builds, or shorten it. But for those of you who do not want to mod, it is on the outside. Well, the fan blades might get caught by something, but again, you probably shouldn't stick your fingers in the fan. And it's going to be butting up pretty close to the back of the computer anyway. So you could put a fan guard on if you wanted to. And it might come with a fan guard. I don't know. Again, this is like a beta type of unit. It's an engineering sample. So I don't really know what it's going to come with. It probably will come with a fan guard because this is going to be UL certified. And I do not think you can get this UL certified if you have an open fan. So probably going to. Our GPU usage is at 97%. I would like to see a little bit higher. Maybe I could do something to get that out of there. And we're running at about 370 watts. And this thing is just pleasant to hold. It is not getting warm at all. And that's why I kind of told Larry, like, okay, keep it the same dimensions this time, But next revision, let's look into making the heat sinks a little smaller so it easily fits into the front of the chassis. Because originally the plan was to make it so it wouldn't fit in the front of the Mini on purpose, because I didn't want something that was going to be running extremely hot, already have a GPU like 1080 dumping heat into the front of it, and have people complain that this was not working, even though obviously it's probably not designed for it. But this is so well built, this is so tough, and it runs so cool. I have no problem putting it in front of a 1080. So I think that we can shave off a little bit. Is the power rating given with the fan removed? Yes, there is a power rating with the fan removed. It's still really high. You can run the thing passive if you want to. Like I said, it stays really, really cool. I mean, right now, we're at 31 degrees Celsius across this big old heatsink. And the sides are 25 degrees Celsius, which are thicker heat sinks. So it's just nice. It's not even as warm as my camera right now. Yeah, my camera is at 31 degrees Celsius. Uh-oh, probably shouldn't have done that. Probably put a dot on my sensor. Johannes, thank you so much for the super chat. He asked, is the next March date for the new S4M batch on the SFF Lab website accurate? Also, news of a future revision is very exciting. Unfortunately, it's not accurate. I'm not the one who put that up there. Small Form Factor or SFF Lab is not my company. It's not my website. And they work with me. And I think the plan was to kind of reorder and put some up there. But I don't actually have anything ordered. So I got to find a manufacturer that's able to do it and keep the quality up. And yeah. And I also decide what I want to do. Do I want to extend the chassis out and make it a little bit longer? That way you can put in a 1080 or rather a 2080 Mini and the HDPLEX 400. I think people want that, but I'm also wary whenever I need to increase the size of the Mini. So that's something I'm kind of feeling through and working out and asking people. Though it's very difficult to ask customers because the response is always, yes, we want this, 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 and this. I find that my customer base, I guess, relies on me to rein in and make the chassis keep it small, like that. Because, of course, new features, like I would want those new features if I looked at them on a sheet, right? Yes, as Mendel says, yes, we want that. I want that too. But at the end of the day, after I make it and it's big and I spent $100,000 on it, is it something that you want? And that's what I have to live with. So it has to be right. This is working great. It smells like brand new power supply chemicals, nicely warmed, which is good as a fresh croissant in my opinion. That is good stuff. All right, I'm gonna close this off. And now I'm going to run steam. I don't have connection to the internet. Why? Let me go find out why my plug is not plugged. Plug, why are you not plugged? That's annoying. So if anybody out there is swimming in switches, I would like to have one donated because I now have 2 dead ports on my Switch, which is a bummer. I don't really have my Wi-Fi module, but... Yeah, Lee and Lee did an awesome job with the cases. The quality was not a problem, but there is a lot of changes happening over there, and I couldn't reorder and guarantee you they're going to be made in the same place by the same people. So I had to wait, and then, you know, Chinese New Year and other orders. Lee and Lee is a very prestigious company, and you can't just be like, hey, I want to order a really small amount of computer chassis again. You know, they usually only accept massive amounts of orders. They were doing me a favor, and... you know, it just, the timing didn't work out. So that's kind of the short story. Why taking so long, Steam? Is my Switch just not good even though it's kind of sort of connected? I'm just going to quit it. Yeah, good old-fashioned Control-Alt-Delete. The trade fiasco is affecting things for sure, but overall, I'm glad that there's a discussion going on because eventually I want to manufacture in the United States. That's what I want to do. That's my ultimate goal. And right now, it's not competitive to do so for this kind of thing. I would love to do that. So anything that we can, any progress we can make towards that would be fantastic, even if it means in the meantime, things are slowing down for me or made difficult. What do I want to do? I think I want to do the benchmark. I'll twist it around because you guys can see what's happening. That's kind of cool with the reflector on the graphics card. It's a pretty graphics card. Yeah, Embellis, it's a good idea. Mothership says, hey, I'll ask again about the large fan comparison. Really curious on what came out. I'm in the same boat as all those folks waiting on the Blackridge heatsink news. I did a major comparison of 24 mini ITX coolers. Not all of them will fit in the mini. Actually, most of them don't, but they're all about that size, right? So if you're using other computer cases like the Dan A4, it's a pretty decent comparison. I also ordered Blackridge, but my order was canceled due to the soldering issue with it. But I did use the Thermalright full copper heatsink, which really is similar to the Blackridge design. Like, maybe there's going to be a significant difference, but here's what really surprised me. What really surprised me. I did 24 or something like, I don't even remember the number, comparisons of the coolers, and I have the data, and some engineers actually helping me process it, and thank you for who you are. He didn't want to be mentioned, but I really appreciate his help. They were so close. All of them were so close. That blew my mind. Because usually when you do a cooler comparison, it's like, you know, 4 coolers, the 4 cooler shootout. Or, you know, maybe if it's a massive one, it's like a 15 cooler shootout, right? But I did a ginormous cooler shootout, and they were so close. So, and I did lots of different transmutations too, or permutations, sorry, transmutations. And I came up with gold! No, they were like putting Noctua fans on, or putting the Thermalright fans on, or using the stock fans, and trying to test to see the best combination. But they're all really, really close. But yeah, that's basically what I came up with. And I don't think I should spoil it. That's the only satisfaction that I have in making that horrible, horrible video, which was completely useless to make for me and serves me no benefit whatsoever, except to hold it over your guys' head that I tested it and I know which one is the best. So you'll have to watch that stupid video, but I'm going to make it short. There's no sense in going through all of them, so I'm basically just going to show some footage of it, let you listen to the stock fan or the Noctua fan, and then basically give you the spreadsheets and show you some graphs and say, yep, this is the one I think is the best. But they're all very, very, very close. The solid copper block was not so great after a long period of time, as you might expect. But it was really good to start with. This scene right here tends to be pretty hard, so I'm going to leave it. Can't really see what I'm doing. I gotta smash some wall and it makes the computer work real hard, but again, I can't really see what I'm doing. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Is it over here? Is this the wall I need to smash? No, that's not what I want to do. I don't remember what I need to do to make the room fill up. But we are pushing those watts. So far, it is magnificent. Yeah, the cryo rig fans are not good. They are not good. They aren't particularly strong, and they definitely do not have a good sound to them. I was surprised by the Thermalright fan. They're I don't know what it's called, but I have to look it up. They're 92 millimeter fan. Actually, is it 92 millimeter fan? I think it's a 100 millimeter fan that has 92 millimeter fan mounts. Where is that? Here's some of the ones I finished with. Here it is. This guy, yeah, it looks like a 100 millimeter fan. But this guy is a solid performer. It looks like it's a crappy, cheap fan. I did not have high hopes for it. It's the TY100BP. There you go. But it sounded okay, and it performed quite well, too. Nice and thin. This is not the stock color, but it worked out really, really well. So, yeah, great fan. Great fan. Again, it's kind of like, you know, the Noctua one is so well built and feels so good, and it just looks so great as far, not, you know, people don't like the colors, but like the material looks amazing. The molding looks amazing. I mean, it's great stuff. Lots of different materials in it, but the Thermalright fan performed quite well. Tom Brown asked me what I'm working on today, and we were just taking a look at the final revision of the HDPLEX 400 AC brick. And so far, it's working quite well. I'm going to have to do my final tests, and there's actually kind of a lot to go through. I have a spreadsheet I need to do some grinding on. But this is basically what I wanted to see today. Was it going to work in this room? Was it going to pass that benchmark, which it did not pass before? And was it going to pass the Furmark plus Prime 95? And that looks like it's not going to pass. I'm going to try one more time, but that doesn't look like it's going to pass, which I don't really care, to be honest, because that's just crazy. It's just crazy. And really what I think happens is Furmark has a lot of the 2D overlays, and that just causes the power supply, the graphics card to go nuts and just overdraw that like crazy, which causes coil whine, which causes, the coil doesn't cause it, but it's a card killer. So I'm going to put this down here. I'm going to put it at 4K again. I'm going to do the burn-in test after I've launched Prime 95. I'm going to do a blend for this. There's no point in doing small FFTS. Also, another thing, although I hate the layout, although I hate all the stupid, useless heat sinks that you have to take off to put in most coolers on it, although I very, 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 very much hate the front panel location placement, the Z370i motherboard is one of the finest, no. The Z390i motherboard is one of the finest motherboards I have ever tested. This thing has survived, you do not want to know how much torture. I actually caused smoke to erupt from it twice during my fan testing because some fans, you find out the heat sinks are so poorly made that the mounting hardware actually collides with contacts on the motherboard and will cause shorts. So, and more than that. But apparently it has so many fuses built into it that even though I smoked the motherboard twice, it is still working perfectly, overclocking perfectly. I absolutely love the UEFI controls. I love everything about this motherboard, and that's high praise for me because I never praise motherboards because they always make my life miserable. But this motherboard is amazing. Amazing. It is totally worth the extra bucks, in my opinion. And I've only had one, obviously, so your mileage may vary. But I do have an entire wall of Z370i motherboards that are I'm still warranting, and they have all been great too. So, yeah, there is that. When's the TA for the heatsink video? I don't know. I'm going to try to work on it on this Friday, and I'll see how far I get. It might take me 2 Fridays to do it. So, yeah. And Sean says it's not an AM4 socket. I understand. And ironically, the Asus's AM4 motherboard is awful. And I would not recommend that to anybody. And it's so sad because it has so many cool features on it, but it has so many bugs. I don't know if it's Asus's fault or AMD's fault, but it doesn't really matter in my opinion because it doesn't work. And now I've bought 2 of those and not had any luck with it whatsoever. I have not used the no, I have used the B450. That works fine from ASRock. Plus, it's kind of cheap. This will be ready hopefully soon, but I've heard that before. But with this actually working now, we haven't had a reset. I don't know. I bumped it last time and I killed it. But so far this is working. Prime 95 and Furmark. Oh, there it goes. With an overclocked 9700. But still running very cool to the touch, given that we've just been running Tomb Raider on it. Right now it's at 40 degrees Celsius, which I can hold all day long, no problem. It feels very nice, like not even like a hot cup of coffee. It's just nice. So, for people that don't know, the last test I did was Furmark plus Prime 95, which is ridiculous. It's kind of more like, it's just fun and games. Is it going to work? If it survives a Tomb Raider benchmark and, you know, an hour of Tomb Raider, which I'll throw up there, and a couple of other my tests, it'll be fine. I like the Final Fantasy one. I usually leave it on when I go to bed at night at 4K and see what happens, because it does use a lot of power from your system. I do need to hook up to the actual 4K monitor and not just oversample though, but that's on my test bench. And I killed it. So I have more work to do, apparently. But I have to go get on that. But I just wanted to share with you the fact that it's very close. We are very, very close to being able to have it. And I have to go look at my overclock, probably disable that, and figure out exactly what you can recommend for it. Obviously, a 2080 Ti was never the goal, but or with a 5 gigahertz overclock 9700K. But I was thinking it was going to do it. But I already know the last revision runs the 2080 all day long with a 9700K at stock voltages, so I think we're good to go. And yes, there'll be an actual review / video thing of this product that's not just a live stream. I'm going to keep this one short because I don't want to scare away people that might look at the live stream and go, oh my gosh, it's another 3-hour long live stream. So I'm going to end it here. But I want to thank you guys for joining in. Thank you for the super chats. I really do appreciate those. I'm going to read you guys off the super chats as a thank you. Tumor, Weston, Johannes. So thank you guys very, very much. And I will see you next Monday. And hopefully we can be building something next Monday. But for now, cheers.